good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this planet. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And it's kind of the start of the week and the end of the week for me. So, without further ado, let's get into it today. How do you do, everybody? Good to see folks in the chat. Scott, thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Russ, thank you also. Oh, yeah. Oh, you've got a week until you're 50. I just turned 49, so I'm a year behind you. And you know what? It's not so bad. It's not so bad. I look at it as another year that I've lasted on this crazy, demented planet that is full of people like Karen Brewer, who's a psychopath on Facebook who I'm addicted to watching her live streams every day. But that's another completely different story. G'day, Tom Rochelle. Thank you very much. Also, Cody Bradley, how do you do? Langston Reese, how are you? Also, thank you very much, Cody. Okay, so here we are. So basically, this show today is, I am just running through some things that are happening, some little changes that are happening to the show. And I'll try and catch my breath because I had to run up here to get here in time for the show because I was making a coffee and that double shot is killing me today. Yeah, oh man. Thank you very much, Langston Reese. So let's start with a few things. Let's start firstly with how we normally do. What's on sale? Any apps on sale? Now, I don't know if you follow these guys, you'll see this app up the top here. Base 808 synth plus AUV3 platinum. Look at that. It's reduced from $999.99 to $99.99. How fair of those guys to reduce that. Now, the funny thing is about this app, this is a series of apps that are being released. It's an audio kit app that have been released for free, and they're releasing 10 apps over the next few months or whatever. I think it's an app a month that they're doing, and this was the first one they released. And if you didn't get it, it disappeared. Then they made it $1,000 for you to buy, and today they generously dropped it down to $100. Honestly, it's not. I wouldn't do that if I was you. Don't spend $100 on this app. I'm sure it'll come back at some stage and be free. So I was going to download this audio toolbox, which has gone free. So it looks like it's an analysis tool, like for your spectrograms, all that kind of stuff, and it's free. So I was going to grab it, but it looks like on my app store here, for some reason, it's still showing as $5.99. So I won't be grabbing it yet, but I will be monitoring it because I'm sure it will drop in price. RM1 wave modulators dropped a few dollars. This harmonium anyway, I'm not sure what it is, but I might grab it because it's free just to have a look at it. In fact, let's see if it's showing as free on my app store. I've already got it. How's that? There you go. See, and it's already installed. So who knew? What else is there? So I've mentioned these things. I'm going to do a show on them very soon. These session band apps. Personally, I hate them. I've got nearly all of them, and I haven't found one use for any of them, but they're all down to $1. They do drop to free quite often. So if you see them free, grab them anyway. The reason I grabbed them was, look, they could come in handy for something in the future. You never know when you're looking for that one thing that might just, add something to a song that you haven't been able to find. So they're 99 cents. If you want to get them for that, I'd wait. That's about all that's showing there. What I want to touch on before I get to the main topic of today is Final Touch. So I'm going to be completely transparent here. Final Touch is my main mastering app that I use. Thank you very much, Olaf, for the birthday wishes all the way from Germany. Very kind of you. Thank you very much. So Final Touch is my go-to tool for mastering. I love it. It's just so cool, absolutely wicked, and it's It's why I like it. It's close to how I used to master using a desktop computer. So that's why it works for me. It looks like all the old mastering suites that you would get back in the old days. It's the same reason I like Audio Pro. It reminds me of Pro Tools, and I grew up on Pro Tools. So, it's horses for courses. The things that are familiar to you work the best for you. But I stopped using it a few months ago because I detected this crackling sound every time I would do some mastering for some reason. Now, I've had this issue also with Music Studio, and I talked about it on my Music Studio episode that I did using iSymphonic through Music Studio into GarageBand, and I was getting this weird crackling sound. Anyway, I saw a post on Facebook yesterday in Pete's Create, Record, Release group and in GarageBand users group of people experiencing this crackling. So I decided, you know what? I've had it too. It's in my it's on my iPad Pro that I'm only experiencing it. So I'm going to find out and get to the bottom of what it is. And you know what? I got to the bottom of it. I actually found out what the problem was after all this time. Now, is it going to be fixed? I don't know. Does it need to be fixed? I don't think so. I don't actually think it's a problem. I think it's something that Apple... Now, for all the bitching I may do about Apple and all the praising I do for Apple, there's not a lot of things that Apple do for no reason. Or if they do stuff up, they will leave that way for several years. So what I believe is this is something they have implemented into their iPad Pros for a reason, for a better experience, because not everybody is using their iPads to make music. Okay, that's the one thing we need to remember. Even though it is a pro device, it is still, Apple products are still made these days for consumers. And it just is what it is, as Donald Trump would say. So what's the problem with this app? First, let's have a look at it. I can't recreate it live on the stream because, and I'll show you why. Let's have a look at the problem. So I've made a couple of videos of the problem. So the first one I can show you. Let me make sure I've got the right one here. So this is, let's have a look. This is the version. So you can all hear that crackling. And what I'm doing there in that video, if I just, I'll put it on mute for a moment. So when I scroll through, you'll see around here, I'm using the dynamics. I'm using the compression section of Final Touch. And I'm splitting up the bands here. So I want to show... get a clear sound of each band. You can solo each band and you can mute other bands. So here I'm looking at band 2 of the dynamics, and when I do that, so when you play the full song, you can't hear the crackling. Right, that's the thing, you can't actually hear it. It's when you actually break down and get into this granular look at the bands, there's crackling in there. And I'll play it again. It's extremely noticeable. Like, let's have a listen again. So, why is it doing it? That's the question. And after a bit of deep diving, I found it. Now, also have a look up here. You'll see on this video, up the top here, you'll see it has the title just up in the top left-hand corner. So the song's called Me and My Brain Converted WAV. And you can see it goes for 4 minutes 22, and it's 48 kilohertz, right? And 24 bits. Okay. Now, the reason this happens is I was playing to get that crackling for me to actually recreate it. It only occurs when you're listening through the iPad internal speakers or through headphones that are connected. And remember, the only way you can connect to an iPad with headphones is via a connector, that a USB-C connector to headphones. So it's only happening when you're listening through this internal speaker or through headphones. But what happens if I plug in my Steinberg UR22? Nothing. No crackling. No crackling at all. So why is it happening? So as I said, remember this. Apple do things for a reason. Okay? So what it seems they have done with the internals of the iPad Pros, I would say anything, I'm not sure about any latest iPads that aren't Pro, because my other iPad that I have is a 2017 iPad, and I've never had this problem with the speakers. So I'm thinking it's later models. People are going to have to check themselves, but I do believe it's only the Pro models. What they have done is they have made the internals only operate on 48 kilohertz. Okay, so they've set the audio, the actual audio code to that number, so it can't be changed, it can't be fixed, and there's a reason they do that, because people use, now if you've ever opened up, think about this, if you've ever had open, say, GarageBand, you've had a whole bunch of audio apps all running in the background, even YouTube is a massive culprit to cause problems if you're creating music using GarageBand and you've got YouTube open in the background. It will fuck with your sound. All right. So because so many apps are released, like AUV3 plugins are released, and they give you the ability to change the bit rates of their songs, of the sample rates and stuff like that, Apple have made the internal audio clock, the internal audio settings, to stay at one particular setting, and that is on 48, and it's 24 bits, I do believe. Okay. Because if they change it, if they had set the internals to change up and down, and with people running multiple apps in the background, this would have created massive internal issues and many reboots and people not knowing what's going on. But what they have done instead to get around this for people like us who are creating music is the ability to buy an audio interface. And once you plug in an audio interface, okay, it overrides the audio inside your device, and it allows you to change the kilohertz, the bit rate. It allows you to change all of that, and you'll know when you plug in your audio interfaces, you're allowed to do all that stuff. So it's like a safeguard that they've put in there. That is the reason they have done that. I think it's pretty cool. And people are going to bitch about it, but if you're serious about making music and you don't have an audio interface, sure, I know they're expensive and they cost money, then it's time to get one if you don't want to experience these kind of problems. So that's what I've found out about it. That's the issue. And it applies to many other apps. There's a bunch of Korg apps. And so what I will do, I'll post a link to the thread that I actually found, which tells you all about this issue. So I found it on the Audio Bus forums. There's a whole bunch of other things, other posts that tell you about this within the Audio Bus forums. There's a couple on the Steinberg forums as well. But this is the workaround. Plug in your audio interface and you will be able to eliminate this problem. And it's not only Final Touch. So let me be very clear with that. It's not only Final Touch. Things like Music Studio, anything that if you're using, like I do, I use Music Studio and I hook up, I basically hook up an inter-app audio through Music Studio, and then I run that into GarageBand. So you've got a whole bunch of different bit rates competing with each other, and the internals audio can't deal with it, so it creates the crackling. As soon as you put on an audio interface, it suits it out. It fixes up the problem. Let me just have a look at the comments here. Tom Michelle, I'd imagine most of the time you're at home, you'd have your interface plugged in, but that's a big problem on the go. Definitely. Look, it definitely is on the go. They make, you know, the interfaces are getting smaller and smaller. Here's the thing, I don't know if it's something that they can change with a software update. I keep reading that people think it can be. Me personally, having worked at Apple and knowing how the internals are from opening up many iOS devices, I don't really think that's a thing you can fix with a software update. That's just my opinion, and if it hasn't been fixed since 2018, I can't see them going to fix it anytime soon. As I said, I think that Apple thinks it's something that doesn't need to be fixed. That's the thing. And anyone who's had an Apple product for quite a few years will know Apple make these decisions and they normally stick by them. It's going to be a cold day in hell when they decide to change for the whim of the consumer. It just is what it is. What else do I have here? Russ, I don't use an audio interface as just work within the iPad. So, yeah, it's going to affect people like yourself. I don't know what the workaround is. I don't know even if there is a workaround. It's something I'm going to be continuously looking at because, the only reason I worked it out too was I was laying on my bed one night using Final Touch and heard the crackling. And instead of actually sorting it out, I just went, this is too hard. And I stopped using it. Much like I saw, was it Russ, you wrote that you just moved on to Bark Filter? I did the same thing. I just stopped using it. And every time I've wanted to master stuff, I've been really pissed off because I like using Final Touch. Let me just open Final Touch up. So and even yesterday I tried to change, so you'll see here, I've got two different versions. So I've got a version of 44.1 and a version at 48. And the crackling, it was different. So that tells me it clearly is a problem with the bit rate and such. And the crackling got less when I changed the latency from low to normal. So there's clearly a difference in the crackling. But you're not going to hear it here because, of course, I'm plugged into my interface. But the one thing I can say is I'm really happy because I've got Final Touch back. And now I know if I'm going to lay on my bed and do what I do, then I'm going to have to take an audio interface over to my bed and do it. Luckily, I have two audio interfaces. I have a PreSonus Audio 1, which I don't use. It just kind of sits on my desk, so I can leave that by my bed from now on, and that will do the job. Now, I tried a whole lot of different ways as well. I actually tried plugging in a USB hub to USB-C hub into the iPad, and I also which has a get my head going properly. I tried to plug in a USB-C hub into the iPad that has a headphone jack. So I tried that, still the same thing. I tried to use a couple of different USB-C to headphone connectors, still the same thing, because clearly it's coming from the internal speakers. That's where I first heard it, on the speakers. And definitely the other workaround is exporting the file and using your Final Touch on an older iPad. And I've done that as well too. So as I said, there's no problem like this on my iPad 2017. It just seems like it's the Pro version. Who knows if Apple's ever going to tell us exactly why? Who knows if there's going to be a software update? Look, it could be in iOS 14. So, and also that's it as well, Tom. So there are smaller audio interfaces that run on batteries they're getting smaller and smaller, so that could be a workaround. But for now, I think we've come to at least some kind of conclusion. So if you see anybody on any forums or anything like that who are experiencing crackling, at least you have an answer. I will drop a link to the forum where I found most of this information, which has been going on for quite a few years. There's a few links. And if you are on the Facebook users group, I think I posted on Create, Record, Release on Pete Johns' Create, Record, Release Facebook group. So you can find it there. I will post a link in the description on this video too. Now, so that's done and dusted. Speaking of Pete Johns, let's cover these things and then I can hoot scoot to boot. You will have noticed, you may have noticed, may not have, I've noticed the whole in 20 minutes, I've dropped the whole in 20 minutes bit on my videos because most of the time I go over time. And we all know that. So it was time to ditch that. It was kind of a bit over it, kind of timing myself. I will try to stick to at least 30 to 40 minutes for these shows. Interesting issue, says Scott. I ended up getting Grand Finale over Final Touch. My iPad Pro is always connected to the interface, whereas I've used my phone with Grand Finale before. Yeah, and I use Grand Finale as well too. So I was using that for a whole bunch of my mastering stuff. So it filled in and did fine. It did just as good a mix. I used it to do one of Pete Johns' songs. I used it for a whole bunch of other things. So Grand Finale is another cool app. Bark Filter I'm going to be looking at over the next few weeks. I've been playing with that myself lately. It's really cool. Look, there's another one here you might see. What have I got? Multi-band compressor. Beta testing that. There's a whole bunch of other ones too I'm going to be looking at that people aren't even covering. So there's alternatives. But I've mentioned Pete Johns, so let's talk about this. If I can find what I'm meant to be doing. Where are we? Photos. We want to get out of there. We want to get out of here. We want to go to here. We want to scroll to there. There we go. So it's Songtember. If you've been over to Pete's channel, and if you don't know what Songtember is, I've left a link in the description to Pete's 2020 Songtember announcement. It is September's the month for everybody who'd like to get involved to create a song and submit it and get it done by the end of September and release that sucker. Get it online, get it out, get it done in a month, see what people can do. So I'm getting involved with it also for the first time, and this is the project that I'm going to be working on. It is called Manners. It is an EP called Something Fancy, and it's going to be 3 tracks. Sorry, I could hear my coffee bubbling in the background, beckoning me to tip it into my neck. So what is Manners? Manners is a project I've been tossing around in my brain for quite a little while now. It's a doom stoner rock kind of project that has a twist. The songs are about being polite and being mindful, and it's sung by a collection of elderly people. I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous, and it's going to be ridiculous, but it's something I've been wanting to put out because I have on my DistroKid, I have a label. I pay for a label subscription every year, and I have up to 10 artists I can have because I pay a little bit extra. And this will be my 5th or 6th artist that I'll be releasing. So this is the project I'll be spending over the next month of September, putting it all together, writing it, putting the songs together, showing you how I'm doing all the artwork, all the advertising, the whole lot, in amongst using all of the apps, well, not all of them, obviously, but as many of the apps that I can, that I've shown you over the last 68 episodes this is already. To see them actually all working to create my Songtember creation. And by the last week of September, I shall be uploading this to DistroKid and releasing it. And I'm going to put a price tag on it of $69. So Pete Johns has said he's going to buy every single song that comes out. I'm going to make him spend $69. No, I'm not. That's just bullshit. So this is Manners. Let's open it up. I started work on it yesterday on one of the tracks. And this is, so there's 3 tracks, as I said. This is one of them. Let's have a quick playthrough. Do we have sound? Cool. Cool, so it's very doom stoner. Ooh, yeah. Kind of Celtic frost inspired stuff. What I'm going to do while we got this open here, I'm going to duplicate this track. And let's grab these drums, because these drums are very terrible. I was just sitting on my kit. I wasn't even sitting on the stool properly yesterday. I was sitting on my computer chair, kind of not close to the kit. So let's mute this one, and what we're going to do is just jump in here and see if we can do a bit of quantizing. Let's see what that does. Put it at a time. Cool. I definitely have to play with it more because I'm just putting together all of the riffs at the moment. But what we're going to do just for fun now is I've pre-prepared another track here. There we go. And I'm just going to record a bit of the guitar just to wrap up. Oh, yeah. Cool, so let's do that just for a bit of fun to wrap up the show. Ooh, ah. Cool. It's going to be heavy as fuck. Let's put down that guitar. Yeah, that sounds in a mix. What do we got? Whoa! Cool, so that is the beginning of Manners. It's going to be good fun. Fun for the whole family, in fact. Not really at all. Excuse me. Okie dokie, so let's wrap it up and let you know what's going on with the show for the rest of the week. Because if you have noticed, back in one of the earlier episodes, it was probably like 3 weeks in, something like that, we had a mental health week where we talked about mental health, taking time for yourself, looking after yourself, and doing all of the good things for yourself. So, because my health has been a little bit poor over the last couple of weeks, and I've been struggling a little bit, I have decided for the end of this week, I will be not doing any further shows, and we'll be kicking off again on Sunday with a live kind of performance. I might be doing a little bit of this Manners thing just to get it out of my system. I don't know. I'm not really sure what I'll do yet. As like every Sunday thing, I kind of wing it, try and do something different every week for the weekend jam. But this week, for the rest of the week, it's going to be no shows because I'm a little burnt out as well. So as you can imagine, I've done 3 months of these shows without much of a break. It's been every day, bang, bang, bang. And it's good for my mental health, to recuperate, get my head around a few things, start planning the next bunch of apps, and spend some time writing these songs. I need to put a bit of effort into getting these songs together, getting the structures together, getting all the riffs together, so it goes nice and easy for these shows, putting together these songs for Songtember. It just makes sense to me. I hope you understand that. I'm sure you do, as very loyal subscribers to my channel, and I thank you always for being here with me on this journey. So that is the deal there, and as of next Monday, we will kick off Songtember officially by starting to work on the first track off this album. And as I said, scattered in with looking at a whole bunch of apps as well, how we're doing the process. We're going to be looking at how we do the artwork, the ads, and even uploading to DistroKid, all that kind of stuff. So it should be hopefully educational and rockin'. But that is it for today. We've reached our half an hour kind of time limit, between 30-40 minutes. So thank you very much for hanging out with me as usual. It is my birthday, as most of you know. Hey, if you want to donate something to my birthday, there's a PayPal link in the description. You sure don't have to. I'm definitely not saying so. If it's up to you. The only thing I'm going to buy with it will be apps, because that's all I spend my money on. But anyway, thank you very much, guys, for hanging out. I hope you're excited about Songtember. I can't wait to hear what you are all making as well. I hope you all get into it. As I said, there's a link to Pete's video explaining about Songtember in the description. There's a whole bunch of other links in the description as well that you can go and have a look at anytime you like with all the videos. I try to link everything that I talk about. And until Sunday, so that would be Saturday evening for most of you around the world, I'll be back then to do something bizarre. And thank you very much, all of you. I can't wait to take a break, but I can't wait to see you all again. I'll still be hanging around on Pete's channel, and on Facebook and all that stuff. So thanks very much, everybody. You take care, and I will see you all next week. Adios, amigo.